Hello everyone, welcome back. Good evening. It is Sunday and we have Bitcoin finally on the rise even more than what we were looking at yesterday, just yesterday, right? Where were we yesterday? I think we were about over down here. Yeah, far more. We had a great day today. The current price of Bitcoin is 114,821. We reached a high of 115,511. We were just at 115,000 moments ago before me clicking go live, but yeah, we kind of came back down. It's a volatile asset. Allow it. We can tolerate this kind of volatility. It could be a good thing, could be a bad thing, right? You'll notice that I sold my position. We are overbought on the RSI, so I'm like, you know what? Deserved. Did I sell too early? Probably. I think this week is going to be a good week. We're already seeing lots of signs of recovery. We're seeing October turn green at last. We're seeing trade deals being completed between the US and China. Peace signed with Thailand, Cambodia, which we will be discussing. Something about GameStop maybe getting involved. Another war that was ended. The console war. I know it's a meme, but we'll get into it nonetheless. What else do we got to talk about? Canada news as well. MicroStrategy might be buying. And it's just some updates on the other altcoins, the big caps, the ETFs that are set to be released for these big caps. Nothing specifically and related to the US, but for other countries. We'll be discussing that tonight. So should be a good one. Everything, I'm pretty sure, has finally flipped its trend to the upside. I've taken profits on Ethereum. Hyperliquid yesterday was, I think I took profits. And it kept on rising another 8% today, so rest in pieces. Bitcoin is up today a good 3%, which that's good recovery for a big asset like Bitcoin. So that's good. Resistance we have from pivot levels finally generated. Resistance is at 116,242 is what it tells me. Pivot level support would be at the 111,000. We'll average it out to the middle, so 111,500. If we're looking for entries now, I think maybe down here 109,000. If we ever do see Bitcoin come back down and become oversold once again, I'm expecting a bounce right over here. 108, I'd say 109. Anything above 109,000 would be a good idea for entry. Not financial advice because I'm always wrong, even though it might not look like it. I'm buying these bottoms and selling these tops. It looks good on paper, but I'm just following my strategy. It's failed me in the past, but it's got a pretty high success rate and I know what to do. Do not FOMO, do not enter where you're not supposed to enter, and you'll be just fine. Be safe with leverage. And that October 10 crypto liquidation event that happened, nobody deserved it. It should not have happened, but it did. So that's the markets for you. We're here to lose money, all right? Great. Now that that is out of the way, now that the normies are out of here, let's move on to Ethereum. It's on its way up right now, 4,207. I think I sold a little below that, 4,100 something. Where did I sell? Please tell me. Please tell me. Okay, it's not going to tell me. Position history on USDC. Ethereum. 4,172 is where I sold. So we're just a little bit too far above that. But hey, we were overbought on the RSI. I'm like, you know what? It's time. No regrets. RSI overbought. I'm out. I sell. Who cares? If it keeps going higher, whatever. I'm waiting now for an oversold potential entry. As long as fundamentals are obviously still valid, right? If, you know, before November 1st, we see a crash because, who knows, maybe the whole China-US trade deal gets thrown out the window, although it seems unlikely, and that is why markets are pumping, is because of the China-US trade deal consensus that might happen before November 1st when those tariffs are set to go into effect. Where was I going with this point? If that like gets thrown out the window, then yeah, markets are likely to crash and that's where I will likely be entering. I guess that's what I was trying to get at. And it is my responsibility to kind of figure out where those entries would be. by basing it off of technical levels, support levels that we are likely to see a bounce off of, because that's also part of what I try to do is snipe trades like this. This was a perfect snipe on Ethereum, and like I said, I will flex this for eternity. That entry, 3,672.29, and that was exactly the low point, 3,672.29. I'm doing the okay hand sign, you can't see me, but yeah. Anyways, I was also mentioning things about the trends. For a lot of coins, if not all, the downtrends have been broken for all of them. Most coins are overbought. Most coins have a green super trend by now. The downtrend line that I have drawn on them has been broken or is breaking. We'll review the rest. I haven't really looked into all of them into specific detail, but we will. So yeah, Ethereum finally broke out of the downtrend over here. We broke out of the 4,000, what was this? 4,182, I think I said. The super trend did come on its way down a little bit, and it ended up being at 4,138. We broke through that. We're at 4,208. So green super trend, and for now it's looking like the support is 3,857, but not the support, that's where the trend invalidates, but I take that with a grain of salt because it's still on the rise right now. We have to wait for it to stabilize. It will all depend on how far we can overextend this rise overnight, which in my opinion, I don't think we will. It's likely that, you know, things will slow down a little. It could resume tomorrow morning because US markets will open. They'll see the markets are green and they'll start FOMOing, and again, money rotating out of gold because it's, you know, why do you need your money to be safe anymore? There's no fear anymore in the markets, right? That's kind of fading away. People will, you know, get rid of their gold. There's no need to hold on to it, and they can start purchasing more riskier assets. And that's when we see the money flow into the crypto market. We know the money exists. Those trillions of dollars, they exist. They're in gold. They can get out of gold and they can go into, if not the stock market, it will be the crypto market, and just a few trillion could heavily benefit the crypto market. It could 2x a lot of things, the big caps, 3x the medium caps, 10x the small caps. You get the point. The money is there. And only the best coins will excel, the ones that have a genuine purpose. And maybe a few meme coins here and there because it's funny to see price go up. Haha, so funny. So that's what to expect for what's next. I guess it was right on the call. We did indeed bottom out over there. I don't think we're going to be seeing lower levels than what we saw, especially after the liquidation event, not just for Ethereum, but for practically every other asset in existence in the crypto industry, at least. I don't think we're going to see a drop as big as that until after the cycle is over. I'm willing to believe, yeah. And okay, you call me crazy, but, or it's maybe too early to be predicting this kind of stuff, but come on. The worst has already happened. Unless, of course, there are things that can, unexpected turn of events, just, you know, a quick snap of Fed Chair Powell not lowering the rates as we are expecting, or China tariffs do indeed go into effect from the United States, 100% tariffs. Markets are not going to like that. I don't think we will be punished as hard as October 10. Like I said, October 10 is really stupid, huge exaggeration, illiquidity from the exchanges, not good. And just some insight as well. I shouldn't even get into it, honestly, because it's not related, but, you know, Binance, no, why did I say Binance? Amazon Web Services, their decentralization. I don't even know why I said Binance. I meant to say Amazon. But their decentralization, for example, when it comes to the crypto industry, it's clearly not there for some assets, right? For Binance, for Coinbase, that's what I was trying to think, I guess. These exchanges, they run on centralized services, which defeats the purpose of cryptocurrencies, right? So, you know, maybe another issue like that could impact markets, but it's so unlikely at this point. Like, the worst has already happened, in my opinion. So I think it's safe. I think it's safe at this point. Still, manage your risk appropriately. Support levels for Ethereum, the 4,000 or 3,950 plus, around that area. And then 3,800, I guess you could look at. Resistance that we have is currently where we are right now. Resistance in reality is 4,232 according to the pivot support level. resistance level. So that's also part of the reason why I decided to sell off around this area. I didn't want to wait for us to hit exactly this level and put a take profit specifically here, because what if, you know, what we're seeing right now, the high of 4,216, what if that is the high and we just start coming down from there? My take profit would have never gotten reached. I'd rather just take the profit manually, even if that costs me a couple more potential dollars. But I'd rather, you know, just secure the gains instead of, you know, speculating on, oh, can it reach up here? Not everybody sees the exact same chart that I see. That's why you got to try to, you know, use what's popular. That's why a lot of indicators are popular. The more basic ones like the moving averages or using trend lines, support levels, resistance levels, things like that. It's so that you can also base your analysis same as to what other people are basing their analyses on, right? RSI, very popular as well. Everybody's seeing, you know, what I'm seeing right over here. If they use the 4-hour chart, of course, that's all subjective. It depends on whatever your favorite time frame is. I prefer the 4-hour chart, especially for trading in derivatives. I'm pretty sure most people do. So that's why I use that RSI 4-hour chart. Everybody sees what I see over here, that we are indeed overbought. People are likely to take profits, or rather short the market if they're ballsy, but I wouldn't do that. So that's what we got going on. And it seems like Ethereum is still just on the rise here. Might just break further, another high right now. We'll see. We'll come back to it if it does. Hyperliquid is going insane as well, reaching a high of 48.74. We're at 48.19 right now. I sold here. This was yesterday, right? Yeah, I did. I sold it yesterday because we were up 10% for absolutely no reason. So I was like, yeah, this deserves to have its profits taken. We were overbought, but we are still overbought. Just goes to show, you know, even if you are overbought, you can still wait it out a little bit more because you can remain overbought for an extended period of time if the fundamentals are there. Right now, with more reason, Hyperliquid is continuing to go up because of this China-US deal that we just achieved. We'll discuss it in more detail, like I said. But yeah, there you go. We already saw trend reversal for Hyperliquid, one of the first to do its trend reversals out of most of the altcoins over here. So that was great, and it's on its way to the 50 mark. The next resistance, after of course psychologically 50, would be $52.43 from pivot levels. Yeah, support is 43.45, and then the super trend is looking like it's about to rise to 40. So I would use that psychologically as well as another support if prices were to drop. We'll see though. It's still on the rise, so nothing confirmed yet with super trend. We have to wait for it to flatten out to be sure. That being said, where do I draw the trend line? I'll leave it for now. I know we are experiencing a trend reversal right now, like the downtrend is indeed broken. That's why I like this super trend, especially with a configuration of 5-5, is because like it's pretty accurate and like flipping as soon as, you know, we do indeed see a trend reversal. You know what I'm saying, right? When we break a downtrend line, for example, like this is already on its way to turning green, like it's perfect. And it's also usually pretty accurate in keeping things in a downtrend as long as we don't break a certain level, like I was showing with Ethereum, for example. Let me just go back to the chart. This red line, I was basically adjusting this downtrend for like this whole time, which we technically still were, until, you know, finally we did not have to adjust it because we just broke out of it. And now the super trend's already flipped to green. So from here, you know, you would be able to draw an uptrend. But I'd wait for more data here. It's likely that we will, you know, have some profit taking. We'll seek some support before bouncing up again. And that's where I plan to draw, you know, the next trend line, if that is the case. You know, something like this. I don't know. So we will see. And yeah, it's still making more highs, Ethereum. So the fuel is there. People are buying. Solana finally above 200, and same deal here, right? Solana is another perfect example of like the trend lines and the super trend that I was explaining. We just broke out of this downtrend, and we've been keeping it under a downtrend as much as we could. And yeah, it's finally broken out of it, I guess. So this is really clearly going to be closing above 204. So that should keep us with this green super trend over here. I'm kind of hesitant to confirm this yet because we have to wait for the candle to close. We have 43 minutes, but it's pretty likely. Everything else is going up. Why not? Right? Resistance we got at 207 for Solana, and then 214, where I technically do have another downtrend, which is more longer term. So the issue is that, you know, if we do have an overextended rise, something like this, and we're likely to bounce maybe around here. I don't think the rise is going to look like this. Maybe around where this resistance is right over here. So something like this, right? You know, it's likely that super trend will follow this movement upward, something like that, until we eventually, you know, over here, we break that, and then, you know, we'll start the super trend chasing this downtrend line until prices, you know, maybe stabilize and then break out of that, and then we can, you know, completely delete this. I hope this makes sense. I'm just drawing a bunch of squiggly lines on a black template chart, but I'm sure you guys understand. What's in it for me is $100 profit on Solana. This is a profit-taking zone, but honestly, these gains are so pathetic to me compared to what I just made with Bitcoin and Ethereum and Hyperliquid. I don't even know if I want to take a profit on this. I guess I should. I'm supposed to, right? I'm paying $5 in fees. I'll let it ride a little longer. If it goes to 105 profit, I'll just take the profit. It's fine. BitTensor, I'd never had a chance to enter it. It's up 5% today to 411.64 currently. Really good performing asset right here. Despite, you know, this liquidation event. Instant recovery and higher, by the way. And it kept its volatility for a while over here. Stabilized for a moment last week, and then seems like we're starting to want to go back on the rise again. And we have been in an uptrend as well. It just hasn't dropped as much enough for me to enter a position over here, unfortunately. That being said, support, it's looking pretty good at 360, I would say. Around 360. If we do see a drop around there, I'll likely be buying into BitTensor. Maybe a small position, because I don't think we'll really be oversold over here. It's likely we'd be more oversold at around 320. So that's where I'll put a bigger chunk of change down there. Resistance we have where, you know, basically local top at 460, you could round that up to. And then ignoring this, resistance 2 is at 500. 502 it says, but just round it to psychologically 500, of course. So that's a valid target for BitTensor. Can absolutely reach that and exceed it, in my opinion. And the upcoming months. Plasma up 1%. I took profit already on Plasma, probably a bit too early, but I didn't want to really risk holding on to this for too long. So this is like one of the few exceptions I made where it's like I had a great entry on it. I bought this exact bottom and it was on the rise. I was making some profit. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna take the profit. It was a bit early too, but nothing else was on the rise. I'm like, what is going on with this crypto market? Why is it not rising? But whatever. We're good now. We're kind of neutral in the middle here. Plasma's not really feeling the sentiment rub off onto their end. So they're just, you know, chilling in the middle for now. But I'm sure their time will come when they will explode. Sui is on the rise as well today. 7% up. It says, what are you? AI is dumb. 268 is the current price. We hit a high of 270, which is a resistance level that I basically had noted for you guys. Resistance based off the super trend, basically. If we do bounce from this level and go down, this is what I'm trying to explain, is that we would just have to readjust this downtrend line to something like that. I would hate for this to happen, but it would technically still be a valid downtrend. We have to break 270 for that trend reversal. So I think we can, to be honest. Like, there's no reason why we shouldn't. And I still think Sui is criminally undervalued at these prices. 270, that's still really good. Even at 247, right, where my entry is, I'm just being greedy with it. Like, I was wanting to buy these lows over here. I don't think we will be hitting those probably anymore. Sui to $5. You heard it here first. Don't actually take that as financial advice. I don't know anything. I don't know what I'm talking about. But we're really close to being overbought. So, you know, to be continuing overbought, right? And then we can see, you know, a bounce from this area to where the downside kind of deal. That's where I would expect a reverse. A reverse. a bounce on SUI, I guess, toward the downside, as unfortunate as it would like. I don't want to expect that. Like, I would like to see SUI just do this, but it's unrealistic to believe that. So, you know, we got to keep it within the parameters of reality. Moving on, Chainlink, $18.99, almost $19. We did hit 19. 19.17 was our high of literally just now. We are about to be overbought. We're at 68 with the RSI. We got to be above 70, meaning that Chainlink can continue rising just a little more. I would expect it to. Around 1943. You know what else happened in 1943? I don't know. Nothing really happened in 1943. It can keep on rising, is what I'm trying to say with Chainlink. Did we have a trend reversal? Oh, we've been had that, yeah. Yeah, I remember Chainlink also had an early trend reversal. So, support, it's basically where my entry is at $17. It's where the uptrend invalidates and where we have this pivot support over here. So, yeah. And you could also just acknowledge this pivot level at 1806, really. Just as a bounce where the uptrend is, if that is to be the case. But, like I said, if the drop does continue, and even if we bounce up to here, it's simple. We would just have to readjust the uptrend, something like that. It would look wonky, but hey, it technically works. So that's my way of viewing this. Okay, back to Aptos over here. I somehow already took profit. When did I take profit? I do not remember. I clearly did. Okay, I closed that where? 360, and we're at 357, and we hit a high of 362. Let's just say that's pretty good. We were overbought on it as well, so I was like, yeah, screw Aptos, we're out of here. No, I don't want to say screw Aptos. I do genuinely like the project, but yeah. Hey, trend reversal is there too, so this downtrend, bye bye. Beware though, we do have this one left, although I think it's I think we could break it pretty easily. It's all going to depend on how we react towards these resistances, which are poised at 375, then 392, then of course $4 psychologically. That would be, of course, after we've broken out of the downtrend, which would... It would require probably breaking the 375 level is what I would estimate. So, because, you know, to expect it at 392 within the next 4 hours, that's not that likely. So let's keep our expectations, like I said, in line with reality. It's looking like 375. We got plenty of space, time, right? This is a 4-hour chart, by the way, so, you know, we could oscillate over here before, you know, we meet up with this level, and we'll see how we react over here. If we go up or down. I know, right? Such good analysis. If we don't go up, we'll go down. That's why you guys are subscribed to the channel. Perfect. So yeah, that's all I have for technical analysis. I think I did a good job covering all that. Safe to say that some of these entries that I had all the way down here, very, very unlikely for them to be filled anymore. And yeah, we did drop to those levels before, and I should have bought more, but I was being cautious, man. I don't know. I just lost a lot of money on a big liquidation event, so I was scared. I don't know. Whatever. Okay. To our news section, China and the US have reached a trade agreement after successful trade talks held in Kuala Lumpur. I don't know where this is. I'm assuming it's in Malaysia or wherever they met up in, Cambodia or Thailand. It's in Malaysia. It's the capital of Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur. Now, I don't think that they talked there. Did they? Do we have any news specifically about this country? I mean, this city. No, I don't think so. It's making it look like Xi Jinping was there with Donald Trump in Kuala Lumpur, in Malaysia. But that is not the case. I don't think he was there, right? From what I understood, it was top US officials and Chinese officials. People like Rubio or Scott Bessent, those kind of guys talking with Chinese officials on the trade talks with China. And from what it seems like is that it went really well. We talked about it yesterday that they started talking and it was going fine, and that today they would continue those talks. Today they did, and it was this morning that they were continuing the talks, and this morning, well, everything started pumping again, so obviously that's a good sign. China and US have reached a trade consensus after candid and constructive talks in Kuala Lumpur. Okay. So Xi Jinping wasn't there, but Chinese officials were. Let's just leave it at that. Discussions covered tariffs, export controls, fentanyl cooperation, and Section 301 fees. What is this? Section 301 fees. You act like we're supposed to know what this is. It refers to new service fees on certain vessels entering U.S. ports. So basically tariffs, tariff actions and exclusion process, vessel fees. Yeah, it's basically tariffs on shipping. All right. Both sides will now move on to internal approval stages. Great. So we got to wait and see what happens there. The China's top trade negotiator, so it wasn't Xi Jinping, says the consensus has been reached with the US. Open the overnight market. Of course, markets are all taking this in a good way. I'm pretty sure. I've not confirmed this, but we'll go have a look at the indices of the United States market. The futures at least should be open, right? US 500. Please be open. Yeah, we are open. And we are at all-time highs for the S&P 500. There you go. Simple as that. So they just made the whole crypto market crash on October 10 over a huge nothing burger. Everybody lost their money, myself included. You got liquidated, even if you were in altcoins and leveraged. Nobody got saved, okay? Nobody. And, well, here we are today. We've reached a trade deal and everything's at all-time highs as normal. And, you know, crypto is still trying to play catch up at this point. And people are still scared. They're scared to, you know, invest. They saw what happened on October 10th. I'm like, I don't want to be a part of that again. You're not going to be a part of that again because it's likely to not happen again. A huge liquidation event like that, it was deserved. I'll admit it. Everybody was over leveraged. And, you know, this is the result of an unhealthy, over-leveraged, exposed retail traders. I don't know how to explain it, but like everybody going 100x longs, I don't know, on crypto especially. Something that's already volatile. I don't think you need that much leverage. I use leverage, but very conservatively. Maximum 5x, especially on Bitcoin only. But then the rest of it is always like 3x leverage. And that's just to kind of like give myself more purchasing power, more exposition into the markets, because I'm confident in where I'm entering. I'm confident that where I'm going to be liquidated, an asset to drop 33%. Yeah, it's likely. We've seen it happen, but it's not an everyday occurrence. And I think if I'm going to have a trade open for a couple of weeks, maybe a month, I should be safe. Should be. Hard should be. But I do usually, you know, protect my positions, DCA, add margin if necessary, to prevent myself from getting liquidated, if conditions are still favorable, of course. So that's the way for me to view things. Anyways, yeah, S&P 500 all-time highs. Great. Speaking of the stock market, I mean, if you care at all, we have earnings coming out for, let me try to find relevant companies to discuss. Waste Management, Whirlpool, these companies suck. SoFi Technologies, United Health, that'll be important. PayPal, UPS, HSBC, Wayfair, Enphase Energy, Visa, EA, Electronic Arts, Verizon, Boeing, CVS Health, Caterpillar, Kraft Heinz, Meta, Microsoft, Alphabet. That's going to be a big day on Wednesday after close. Oh boy. Wednesday afternoon is going to be so important. FOMC and these three tech giants, Meta, Microsoft, Alphabet, these guys are in the Mag 7. So that's going to be important. I'm sure crypto will feel some of that sentiment on their end as well, even though they're not really that related, but they are, you know, big tech stocks. So I'm sure it'll have some form of an impact. Eli Lilly Company, Merck, Roblox, Advanced Auto Parts, Amazon, Apple, Coinbase, Reddit. That's going to be Thursday after close. And MicroStrategy, Riot Blockchain. Yeah, that's going to be an important day as well, Thursday. And then Friday, ExxonMobil, Chevron. These are gas, petroleum companies, right? Yeah, that's basically it. Okay, cool. Great. So yeah, pretty important week as well for this week. in terms of earnings, company earnings. Big companies are there. So yeah. White House posted that the Kuala Lumpur peace accords have been signed. I'm guessing that's what they're calling it now. It marks a historic milestone in resolving border tensions between Thailand and Cambodia. The peace president, once again, him saying, look, I ended another war. No more war in Thailand and Cambodia. And to be fair, their war was really dumb. It was just like them fighting over nothing. This is a huge thread to be talking about over here. I'm just going to click through the threads. This is a post that came out from Gamestop, and we know Gamestop as like that one meme stock that will, you know, liquidate the short hedge fund managers while retail thinks it's funny, right? When realistically GameStop is performing poorly in terms of, you know, being a company, in terms of sales, revenue, earnings, all that kind of stuff, right? We had Ryan Cohen, who was the CEO, by the way, of GameStop, closing down stores in Canada, planning to buy Bitcoin, raising billions of dollars to buy Bitcoin, has billions of dollars to buy Bitcoin and use it as a treasury, as a reserve. But he ended up buying just a little bit, a couple $1 million. And then later on, I guess he gave up on it. I think he might have sold, if I recall correctly. I might have covered that news. Something he did with Bitcoin, but I do remember for sure that he unfollowed every crypto person. He was following Michael Saylor. He had, you know, pictures up with Michael Saylor, who we know, if you don't know, Michael Saylor is, you know, the Bitcoin evangelist. He's very pro Bitcoin and is always getting people to buy Bitcoin. And he himself buys Bitcoin, Strategy, the company. So yeah, I don't know. Something weird is going on with this man, Ryan Cohen. But anyways, back to GameStop. They declare that the console wars are over. Talking about, if you don't know the console wars, Xbox or PlayStation. What's your preference? Which has the better games? Which runs better? Which one is, I don't know, more affordable? What do the kids even talk about these days for consoles? I was never really a console person. I'm more of a PC guy. I do own a PS3 and 4 that are just collecting dust somewhere back there. So yeah, it's not of my importance to opine, but either way, if I was to choose, I'd pick PS4 or 5. We're in PlayStation 5. What am I talking about at this point? But I've never touched a PlayStation 5, so I don't really know. I don't know. I don't play games at all, so it's all gone for me. Anyways, he's basically just saying, yeah, we're declaring the official cessation of the console wars. It's basically just a joke post, right? And of course, Trump taking credit for this. President Trump presides over the end of the 20-year console wars, another war that's ended, that gets added to his list. He's obviously talking about all the wars he's ended when it comes to India, Pakistan, Cambodia, Thailand, testing my knowledge here, Israel, Hamas, trying to do Russia, Ukraine. I'm sure he ended some other irrelevant war in Africa. And then this console war, I guess he's adding it to the list. So yeah, cool, taking credit for it. And then GameStop posted this meme photo. Don't be surprised if, you know, GameStop stock pumps tomorrow morning. We'll see. If there's any news on it, I'll be covering that live as well. All right, how about our Prime Minister? Not my Prime Minister, Mark Carney. What is this, by the way? What are they doing? This is so funny. He's also in Asia, by the way, but for the wrong reasons. He's making trade partnerships with Laos and other Southeast Asian countries. He's also in Kuala Lumpur. But what for? We're not doing anything with the United States, and we just got hit with another 10% tariff. Carney says that, hey, we're ready for trade deals with the United States now. I don't think Trump wants that anymore. Not after that ad of Ronald Reagan, which I covered yesterday. I'm not going to get into it today. But, oh well. Guess what? We also plan to spend 1.4 trillion Canadian dollars, which is just a trillion American dollars, on these Southeast Asian countries. Great. That'll be good for the deficit, I'm pretty sure. So yeah. Hey, if there's any good thing that has come out, it's probably not even that much of a good thing. We've turned down 80% of Indian student visa requests in Canada in 2025 so far, marking the highest rejection rate in over a decade. But people do the math and they're like, yeah, I'm going to give you some random number, by the way. I don't know the number off the top of my head. 80% of 10 million is still 2 million Indian immigrants. And nothing against Indians, whatever, but I think every Canadian can agree we have a little bit too much of them, right? Just a little bit too much. So, you know. Anyways, moving on. Argentina President Javier Milei, his party has won Argentina's midterm election, so he's still in power there. And apparently he's been really good with, combating inflation. So there's one good thing that came out of Argentina, it's pretty much that. Japan's new quote-unquote right-wing pro-Trump Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi has also arrived in Malaysia to meet President Trump. I don't recall if I covered this yesterday, but yeah, she is there. And now that the meeting is over, Trump is on his way over to Japan. He will also be meeting the nation's new right-wing Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi. Some people argue she's not right-wing or that she's not doing the mass deportations on day one immediately. But who cares, right? As long as she's a good prime minister, that's all that really matters. Takaichi and Trump are going to be great allies. That's good. Good relations with Japan and United States. Speaking of Japan, their stock market is also severely benefiting for whatever reason. Also all-time highs, the Japan's Nikkei 225. I don't know the ticker for it, but as whatever, it's probably this one. Yeah, we're at all-time highs right now. Awesome. This is like the S&P 500, but for Japan. There's 225 companies in here. If you don't know what this is about, that's all. It's up 65% since April's tariff crash. Impressive. Even Japan gets impacted by these tariffs that get placed on other countries. I mean, Japan probably also had tariffs placed on it. But we have reached many trade deals with them, I'm sure. So we're far recovered from that. Which goes to once again prove, no matter how bad things may seem, when there's blood on the streets, it's probably a good idea to buy. Probably. Depending if it's indeed so over, don't buy. But, if it's recoverable, yeah, go for it. Once again, not financial advice, and I don't know what I'm talking about. I have the IQ of an orangutan. Remember, risk assets like Bitcoin and crypto always catch up in the end. Once the liquidity shifts, we are not bullish enough on Q4. Michael Saylor, orange dot day. I hope it's a big orange dot today. Or I don't know. Knowing Michael Saylor, he's probably purchasing like literally as, after Bitcoin has already gone up. We'll see what the numbers are. Every time you post this chart, by the way, if you don't know, it just means that he's going to be buying a couple $1 million of Bitcoin. So that's good. Gold is allegedly dumping. I will be the judge of that. 0% down. You can say profits were taken, but we've kind of stabilized at around 4,000 plus. I don't think we dropped below that, have we? Nope. So gold is still holding above 4,000. Current price is 4,080 per ounce of gold. That being said, it is still likely that we are to see this. Money rotation has finally started. In the last 1 week, Bitcoin is up 6% while gold was down 6% in the week, right? 150 to 180,000 Bitcoin in Q4 is confirmed. I'm sure a lot of targets are there, and Q4 that would include November or December. I'm sure we will top in November. We'll see though. Maybe, the 4-year cycle is dead and we just go up forever. I don't think that's going to be the case, but whatever. I talked about this before as well. This was like, how do I explain this? I'm vindicated on this one. I was saying that, crypto sentiment, looking at the monthly return of October, it started off really good. When October started, things were really on the rise. The whole Uptober narrative was through the roof. Everybody was talking about it on crypto Twitter and, everybody liked it. And then October 10 happened and everything had crashed and we just experienced the hugest liquidation event in history. And then, we've been at the bottom for a while. I was saying this is still probably recoverable and October can still probably end green. People will want October to end green. There are many reasons for October ending green, which just requires us going above 115,000, which we just did. We are now up 1% in October, which means that the bull market is officially back? Question mark. Also bottom indicator, by the way, like I don't think we're going to be going lower. This is what the monthly candle, by the way, looks like, which is so funny. This monthly candle has destroyed portfolios, dreams and ambitions, aspirations and hope. First for bulls and now for bears. Gross. It's crazy. Like this is literally an all-time high wick. This is like a couple month low. How many months have we not seen 101,000 on Bitcoin? Let me just go to weekly chart to confirm this one. Whenever this was. It's basically since the war. June, right? Yeah, June. We have not seen those levels since June. July, August, September, October. We are now 4 months later. We once again touched that low point. And we just barely tap it and we bounce back up again. I'm looking at a weekly chart, by the way. That's why it doesn't look like this candle. If I go to a monthly chart, it will look like that. But I'm too lazy. It's literally here. So yeah, that's what it's looking like right now. And even if it's like a 1% up, I'm sure the markets will be optimistic about October still being green. Hey, if anything came out of this October, we still got an all-time high at 126. What did we hit? 126,247. That's what it shows on my chart. So overall, I'd say that's a pretty successful, October, if you want to take it that way. Yeah. All right. The only bad news is yesterday was Saturday. Today was Sunday. We have been on the rise. And what does that mean? We will open with a CME gap. Ideally, we close before a clean continuation. I don't know about that. I want to stop believing in CME gaps, but the narrative out there is just so strong. And like I said, sentiment really is what drives markets as well. If people are going to be looking at this CME gap and feeling bearish, like, oh, we got to crash in order to see this CME gap close, then, you know, it's probably going to happen. That's the only downside, but I like to believe that CME gaps are just non-existent, right? Crypto's 24/7. Who cares about what's going with CME? And also, they plan on removing the time restrictions by 2026. The Chicago Mercantile Exchange will no longer. It will be 24/7 trading, right? Because it is a crypto market when it comes to crypto specifically for Bitcoin. That way, we will get rid of the CME gap problem, and people will finally stop talking about it. Am I right? Cool. Hong Kong will release their first spot Solana ETF. It will start trading tomorrow. Good, bullish for Solana, but not as good as Rex Osprey's XRP ETF, which is XRPR. By the way, yes, we do have an XRP ETF, and it's just not popular. We do have a Solana ETF, it's just not popular. We have a Dogecoin ETF, it's just not popular. It's all from Rex Osprey. Why are these guys so unpopular? Anyways, they have $100 million assets under management in under a month. I don't think it's too big, but, you know, it's something. And I've done the math before. $1 billion on XRP moves it 1 penny. That's it. 1 cent on the price of XRP. Every billion. So, yeah. XRP, though, it's kind of been on a comeback, I will admit. And it's flipped BNB in market cap. So XRP is finally on its way up little by little. I'm going to go back to a 4-hour chart here. I did show yesterday, you know, the CEO was giving us some bullish hopium, but that's pretty much it. I'm still pretty sure Chris Larson is just dumping on us. So who really cares? But Brad Garlinghouse, he's still talking good about XRP. But that's what any normal CEO would do for their token or company, whatever it is. So yeah, we're seeing retail leverage going to extremes. That's not good, but this is on equity ETFs. So who really cares? If you lose money on a leveraged ETF, you deserve it. That's all I'm going to say. I have so much hate for these leveraged ETFs. I've lost a lot on them because they just decay. They always decay over time. Even if an asset like just lateralizes to an extreme low and an extreme high, you know, like a W pattern, I don't know. The leveraged ETF version of that is just, it's just this like downward, how do you call it? Like this parabolic downward movement exponentially gets lower and lower and lower, and you just have to reverse split it every time. Yeah, so I don't like those at all. Some more insight on Warren Buffett. Berkshire Hathaway. This guy's sitting on $344 billion in cash. You could literally buy 474 companies in the S&P 500. What are you doing, Warren? Just dump it all into Bitcoin before you die. Please do it for us. If you really want to make a difference in the world, just dump all your money into Bitcoin. My last bit of news, because I've honestly run out of stuff to talk about. Justin Trudeau and Katy Perry, it's official. I've talked about them before. I was the first to speculate on their relationship, and yeah, it's official. They're dating now. Oh boy. Anyways, who am I to opine on other people's relationships, am I right? Anyways, XRP uptrend here. I'm probably just going to readjust it, and I'm just going to completely ignore... First of all, let me delete this. Completely ignore this liquidation event that happened, and we're just going to start from scratch right over here. Although I think it's probably more appropriate to draw one over here. And no, I will not be analyzing XRP every day. This is just temporary. We'll see where it goes from here. I mean, if you do care, entries on XRP above 245. What is this Fibonacci from? It's a fib extension. Huh. That's too bullish to be drawing fib extensions. We have since retraced significantly, so who cares about that? Resistance, you just look at 275. Hey, did I not say 275 for SUI? Are we back at it again here? We are. Okay, guys. The race is on again. Place your bets. Who's going to be the outperformer? Can I, Yes. Okay, I want this one to be XRP. I don't have XRP. Which chart did I do? I hope I did USDT. Yes, I did. Okay, place your bets. SUI is at 266 right now. XRP is at 263. Which one will hit $3 first? Go. Let me know. Me personally, I'm going for SUI. Obvious answer. Yeah, but I'm just once again going to use the example of comparing these two. Literally the exact same price. Almost, give or take 3 cents. Who cares about 3 cents? Which one is going to hit $3 first? Alright, I'll leave you guys with that. How do I close this? I just messed up my whole layout, didn't I? 1. Okay, there we go. Nice. Perfect. So yeah, that concludes the stream for tonight. Things to look out for, of course, next week. I read on some fake news that it was like, oh, quantitative tightening ends Monday. Fed meeting on Tuesday. Rates lowered Wednesday. Trump meeting Thursday. It was just obviously a big lie. I'm like, okay, I'm blocking this account. No, all of that will happen combined on Wednesday. The Fed stuff, right? Quantitative tightening. It's basically already over, in my opinion, since the first rate cut that we had in September. Did we have a rate cut in September? I think it was, yeah. It's that. We're having the FOMC meeting. Rate cuts are guaranteed. Basically 98% chance, is it? And then we're getting some earnings as well Wednesday, Thursday from these big companies. That'll be important. 96% chance is still good enough. What are the odds for after this? I haven't really looked. 95% in December. Yeah, the odds are in our favor. We're fine. Dude, we're fine. Relax. So that should drop our interest rate to 4%. Still pretty high in my opinion. But it's a step in the right direction. China, US will be meeting in... Well, China and Trump. Oh my gosh. Xi Jinping and Trump will be meeting in South Korea on the 30th. And if nothing comes of it, then November 1st. We will crash and burn. Alright. Yep. I'll end it here, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Just make sure to subscribe. That's all I care about for now. And yep, I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your evening. Bye.